and welcome. This is 360 U Dialogue on Third Eye Africa Television, your favorite show. I am Juliet Omura and glad to have you to always join us on discussing issues affecting the youth. If it's affecting them, we're talking about it right here on 360 U Dialogue. Today we're looking at the International Youth Day, a remarkable day. And this 2026 theme is speaking on the different contexts, common aspiration. This is remarkable for me, I would say, because looking at Nigeria's diversity, we are diverse in both in our tribe, our communication, our problems too. Speaking of Nigeria problem, we're diverse in our problem. Looking at youth in the north have different problem than youth in the south. So that diversity is what we're going to be dissecting here on 360 Youth Dialogue. And I have my guest, bold Nigerian women on 360 Youth Dialogue. You're welcome, Blessing Simon and Joy Tomo Eshovo. Did I get that right? You're welcome to 360 Youth Dialogue. So good to have you join us here. You know, Nigerian youth make the largest population, as we all know it. In fact, it's now something that we used to brag. Nigerian youth make the largest population. And this population is actually an asset to any country, which we are blessed to have. Let's look at, before we come to Nigeria, I want us to be personal with this. As a youth in Nigeria, really, what is your reality? Let's start with you, Blessing.
As a youth in Nigeria, my reality is different from what people expect it to be.
Okay.
Because ideally, as a Nigerian youth, everybody expects you to, from a particular age, have a work life, be married, have certain things working well. But then you realize that the reality of this thing, living in the reality, is different from having it in theories, different from having it as practical. So my reality is, I wake up in the morning, I live my life, I try to organize myself as best as I can, and I work with whatever it is we have in the country as at that time of the year, of the month, however it is. I reschedule my whole plan to work with it. I have to live in the reality of what is happening. I don't have to just assume and say, okay, I'm working in whatever reality I feel is in my head. But I have to work in the reality of the country. So my reality goes in line with whatever it is. I reschedule everything just to go in line with what it is in the country.
Interesting. So whatever Nigeria brings to you, that's what you use.
That's how I take it.
What about you, Joy?
So I think for me, it's having to work twice as hard to get anything I want. So for example, sometime last year, I said I was going to buy a car. And then at the beginning of the year, I asked, please, what's the range for this car? They gave me, I'm like, okay, so let's work towards it. And then I walked towards it and I have the money. Oh, I'm ready to buy the car. Sorry, it has gone up. It's now
Interesting.
So then it's not just about the car. For house rents, you're paying, say, 900 today, and from the blues, your landlord just comes and is like, the rent is now 1.6 million. Now, all these things are going up and salary remains the same. In like 2 years, salaries have not been reviewed. So it's just similar to what she's saying. You have to work with the current reality, and it's not even funny because now you have to start thinking of many other sources of income. You know what you have is not sufficient. You have to start looking for other remote gigs or businesses. And okay, now you're a business owner, but the policies are not even favoring you. So you're just fighting to survive.
So really, looking at using your story and taking it out there to most Nigerians, do you think it's the same experience?
So honestly, I would say to some extent, I can see a lot of Nigerians living the reality. To some extent, I can see a lot of Nigerians living the reality because, like she said, you wake up and then your rent has been increased. You don't have a choice but to work harder, work smarter to be able to pull up that money and pay for it, or else you end up on the streets. It's as simple as that. So I can tell you that a lot of Nigerians, youth especially, are working with the reality of what is happening in the country.
Okay, before I come to you, Joy, you know, like she has mentioned, let's take into consideration, there are people that don't have the opportunities that you have. There are people that don't have your education level. There are people that where they are staying, insecurity, like in the northeast and the northwest and other parts of the northern countries, we're not just secluding insecurity to the north. We also have insecurity in the south also. But looking at other areas, do you think it's the same, that they just move with the country, move with what the country have, or they have to work as thrice, not twice anymore now, thrice as how hard you're trying to survive?
Okay, so I'll tell you that in some areas, sometimes working as tries as hard may not even be the solution. You have to work as, if you're working hard, you have to work tries as smart as you can. Because let's say, for example, in an area where there's insecurity, you can't tell me you want to do like 3 jobs, you have to go here, do this. You have to work smart. You have to, like I said, live with the reality. If there's insecurity in this area, I should know, okay, how do I put myself to be able to earn something while not being affected by the insecurity around me? Most times people will tell you that best way to stay safe in an insecure area is to be in your house. Sometimes
Really?
that, may not
That doesn't
be the
make
case.
sense.
Yes, that may not really
Exactly.
be the case. So you have to work with the reality. For example, if I'm living in a place where I know going out, I may get robbed, I may get kidnapped and stuff like that, doesn't mean I won't go out. But it means I have to look for ways I can earn money. Thank God for the digital age. I'll tell you that. Thank God for the digital age. If I'm doing something digital, I'll have to look for ways I can earn money online. But the problem now is, like you said, a lot of persons do not have opportunities.
Access.
And another thing, coming from another perspective, is sometimes it's not that you don't have the access to these things, but they don't have the information to be able to know that they have the access to these things. I can tell you for free that there are a lot of platforms that can train you to do things better for free. There are a lot, like the 3 MTT that government did. It's a free platform where you can use to learn some digital skills and some other skills. They have other platforms. I think NITSA also have a platform. ITF, they also have a platform where they train people for free. You don't have to pay anything. And most of these trainings are now currently being done online.
Okay.
So it's the information, not. I think the problem shouldn't be more of the access, but the information.
Okay.
If someone doesn't tell me, if I don't have access to information, I wouldn't know that some of these things are free.
Exactly.
I'll just keep assuming, how
Nigerians
do I
hard.
get it? I don't have the money to do this. Meanwhile, there are a lot of platforms. There are even platforms that do free courses online.
Okay.
So if I want to build myself, I need to have that information. It's either I'm reading it from an online news or I'm listening to somebody say it, but one way or the other, the information has to be there. And most times in areas where there's insecurity, I doubt if they have the access to information as we do on the other side. You get? So the problem is more of access to information, and then when I get this information, it's up to me to know if I'm going to utilize the opportunity that is being given to me or not.
Just to we're still on this point, you've made mention of the problem now. To Joy, do you think access to information is one of the challenges, or what would you say is Nigerians' youth biggest challenge in the country?
Okay, so before I answer that question, I would like to make reference to what you said, that the challenges people or youths face in the north might be different from what we face. So in as much as there is a general problem,
Interesting.
it's on a larger scale in some areas. So for example, in Abuja, we might have the access to information. Like on Friday, I was in a program where the Minister of Youth was there, and he was like, there's so many programs he has gone for. He sees the same faces every day. Like the
Like
same
it's
set
just
of people.
open
Yes,
to
the same set of people, the same hype man, the everything. So yes, we have the access to the information, but the people in those core northern areas or marginalized communities do not have it. And that's why when interventions, this is one of the problems to face our youth are experiencing. So these interventions are limited to a particular, let's say, geography. When interventions like this are being organized, they should look to take it down to the vulnerable communities, the marginalized communities. But maybe because of insecurity, it's posing a challenge for some of these interventions to be promoted in those areas. So for me, I would say the problem is the same, but the skill differs according to the location.
The problem is the same, or the skill is different.
Yes.
Indeed. Okay, let's look at, we've talked about problems now. We've talked about problem, and we've established the fact that yes, one person here might be different from the other, but there's a unified, should I say, aspiration. Everybody looks forward to a better life. Everybody looks forward to greater life. What really can we paint, if we should paint a picture for Nigerian youth to say, oh, this is the life a common Nigerian youth should have?
Yeah, for me, I would say the life a common, or let's say an average Nigerian youth should be a life where you are able to afford your basic needs. For example, I need to get pad, I can afford it. I need to get clothes, I can afford it. I need to get food, I can afford it. That's like an ideal life. I need to pay my rent, I can afford it. I need to buy something, I can afford it. So ideally, that should be like the basic lifestyle for an average youth in Nigeria, where they can be able to afford everything, every basic need. You know, we have basic needs, and then we have some unnecessary needs which are not really relevant. For all your basic needs, your rent, your clothing, your food, whatever it is, you can be able to afford it. I think that's
That's a
Nigeria.
good idea. Okay, for you, Joy, what's your picture?
Yes, so for, the picture I have is a Nigerian youth graduates from the university, gets a good paying job, gets married, have children, have a good house, is able to pay school fees.
I mean, the circle continues.
Yes, then go and do all of these things in a safe environment. So Nigerian youth want all of these things, and they want to be able to live without fear of the unknown. So I feel like right now a lot of Nigerian youths are living with fear, even in the city center. Let's take the example of One Chance now. Who are the people that fall victim to it most? They are young people, and if you want to check the statistics or the percentage, let's say women.
Majority women.
So people might actually even still have their basic needs, but there's insecurity, and it's posing a lot of issues. So, but for an average Nigerian youth, they just want to be able to afford their basic needs, like she has said. And she said, though some needs are not priority, but for me, I would say
Every need is priority for you.
I would say, for example, in Abuja, you need a car. Like, it's a necessity to be very
The
honest.
basic needs, should I say, have a frame to your location. Yes, there are some places you'll be getting to your office may just be 10 minutes, and you may not really need, may not be a basic need.
Yes.
There are some cases where for you to get to your office, it's a whole journey.
Yeah.
So a car would be a basic need. So it varies depending on the situation at hand.
That's true.
That's true. You know, this still streamlined down to the diversity we're talking about. Your basic need might be someone's most dangerous prayer. Yeah. And for you, you're just like, oh, I need a car. But somebody does not even have the 1 square meal to even start with. And now you made mention about the standard of living, you know, they need to afford. Do you think so far as Nigerian youth, not being able to afford some certain things have changed so many young people's dream, aspirations, and hope?
Exactly, it has. I can tell you that it has changed.
In
lot
what
of
ways?
people's. It has changed their hope. A lot of things about them. It has changed their dreams. Okay, for example, that's even one of the reasons we have a lot of Japa in Nigeria today. Because I'm in Nigeria, I cannot afford basic things. I'll go out there to look for something else. It has changed. Ideally, some persons be like, when they were growing up, they'll be like, okay, I want to grow up. I want to have a job in Nigeria. I'm going to live like this. I'm going to be like this. But growing up, you see that these things begin to change. And it's not because they want to intentionally change their plans, but then they have to face the reality of life. They have to see the fact that it's not easy. The unemployment it's at its peak. It's not easy. So now, how do I get things better for myself? I begin to change the whole fairy tales I had when I was small. I'll begin to change it. Okay, growing up, You want to live in a castle. You want to have this kind of car. You want to drive a sports car. You want to do this. You want to do that. But now, in this reality, is it even easy to get a job? That's the first question you ask. Then the next thing, can I even, if I move out of my parents' house, can I survive? It's not easy. Because you see this meme where people say, we left home to feed.
Now home is feeding me.
Exactly. So you see things like this, and it may sound funny,
Yeah.
but that's the truth. That's the reality of life. So people begin to go for other options, begin to change their dream. Since plan A is not working, I'll go with plan B. If plan B doesn't work, let us move to plan C. If plan C doesn't work, we Japa. It's as simple as that. A lot of people now want to leave the country to go outside. Okay, I'll Japa to this country, even if it's a cleaning job, I'll get, at least I'm able to afford my basic needs and stuff like that. Some people that even leave this country, that changing their plan to leave this country, it's not because they really want to leave. Like she's scared. Like she said, they're scared of the unknown. They don't know what will happen at any second. The best way to protect themselves is to leave. So I'll tell you that, yes, it just changes a lot of people's dreams, changes their hope. In fact, it makes a lot of people hopeless. I won't lie to you. It makes a lot of people hopeless. So the next option is to have a way out.
So if a lot of people in Nigeria are hopeless, looking at how the country is, does that mean that there is no hope for Nigerian youth? And you made mention that you just have to live with the reality that it is. So looking at the number of people hopeless, what do you make of Nigerian youth before I come to Joy?
Okay, I think for me, I feel there's still hope.
Is that a real statement, or there's just hope?
It's a real statement. The reason why I said that is we thank God for changing times. We are going into the digital stage of life. Everything is becoming digital. So why I say that there's still hope is because as a Nigerian youth, we have seen that things is not coming out the way we had it in our minds growing up. It's not the fairy tale we assume it to be. It's not the dramas we put in our head or the dramas we were acting while we were younger. It is something different. All you have to do is try to get access to information, try to build yourself, upskill yourself. That's the only way we are going to have hope. That's why I said there's hope. Upskill yourself. If you have a skill, the problem with Nigerian youth, I have to be very honest with this. Everybody wants fast money. Everybody wants fast money. But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And that's why you see a huge amount of youth going into crimes, doing a lot of things that are uncalled for.
Let me just interject there and then throw the question to Joy. Everybody wanting fast money. You know, we've literally in this conversation, we've outlined the circle of a common what it should be. You know, at the age of this, you should graduate. At the age of that, you should do that. But when you look at 18, you're not even a graduate because you've not even entered the university. And then you're counting your time with that circle in your mind. And you're looking at, oh, if I really go to school, would I make it to the next circle before having the money? So that brings me to Joy, where Blessing has already said that, oh, because of that loss of hope, plan A, B, C, D to Z is not working. Don't that push now most young people into fast money making?
Of course it will, because one thing I believe is that Nigerian youth are full of ambition. And so when there is no plug for that ambition they have, they'll channel it into whatever they can find, good or bad. So that's why we have the rise of Japa. We have illegal immigration. That's why we have Yahoo. It's on the
Yahoo
rise.
Plus and all
Yes, that's why we have a lot of people going into hookup. There are so many things that ambitious Nigerian youth have channeled their ambition into, and most of the things are negative because they want the fast money. Now, on the part of illegal migration, traffickers have held on to that Japa thing, and they're now using it to as a bait to bring in young people. Now, a lot of like when I looked at the statistics of young Nigerians that have been trafficked, it's quite a number. And one thing I realized too in the line of my job is that anyone can be trafficked. Professionals can be trafficked. So this thing that we're talking about, this frustration and has pushed people, professionals, into the hands of traffickers. It has made people, even this Yahoo thing we're talking about, when people actually have the mindset that it is only ladies that are trafficked. Even guys are being
Guys are
trafficked.
being trafficked.
So some of them, when they are trafficked, they'll lock them in a room and tell them, "Oh yeah, start pressing the computer." And it's a whole lot. It is a whole lot. So when the ambitions do not find
A channel.
a channel, they'll go into the negative.
Indeed. Now we've spoken about Japa. Do you want to Japa?
Honestly, it's a 50.
Cut on the act.
And the reason I said that
Okay.
is, if I were to get a good job, I wouldn't mind. But or probably I would want to further and do more schooling and all that. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. But the other part of it is, to be very honest, I don't think the way our fellow Nigerians work out there, I don't think I can do that. I'd be very honest.
Like the
I-
healthcare jobs and all.
Not the healthcare job, the fact that they do not have time to rest because time is money.
I mean, they take that ambitious, resilient nature and over
I'd
there.
rather be here, turn it into a smart one, and earn money. I can earn in dollars, in euros, whatever currency, and convert it to naira. See, last week I was at home, I sat down, and then I was thinking about this thing. Do I really think me like this? I say I can't cope. I can't cope. See, let's be very honest here. Nigeria may not be the best, but there are certain privileges we enjoy in Nigeria. For example, we have the freedom to do a lot of things you want to. We use water however we like. We do things however we like. We have a lot of privileges. But do you think, I ask myself, listen, do you think you can survive like this in any country? Because that is not my country. I would have to be restricted, and then I'm trying to work, I'm trying to do this, I have to earn money because the cost of living there is no joke. Cost of living is no joke. At the end, you see some people sleeping on the streets. Nigerians won't really tell you. See, people migrating will not really tell you the truth. Let's be honest.
When they talk about Japa, Japa is one thing that Nigerians. So someone said is not really trending in the north, but in the south.
Yeah.
Do you think, with the current situation and the hopelessness, as we have tagged it, of Nigerians to Nigeria, do you think they are Japaing because they've lost hope in Nigeria, or is just the push factor? When I talk about push factor, I'm talking about insecurity, unemployment, cost of living, which he has disapproved, that the cost of living there is nothing to write home about compared to Nigeria. So what would you really compare?
I saw a video where they're taking the statistics of people outside who want to come back with all you have mentioned. And let me say 8 out of 10 said they would rather want to stay there.
8 out of 10 would rather stay
Yes,
back.
Yes. And I also believe that a lot of Nigerians Japa because they have lost hope. But it is good that we're having these conversations, because in as much as a whole lot of people have lost hope, there is still hope. And that hope is what we all have to come together to work as a team to ignite. Now, the youth have their part to play, government has their part to play, communities, societies, religious institutions have their part to play. But then a lot of people have lost hope. Why have they lost hope? So she said some people did not even plan to Japa. They have good jobs. I know people that
Exactly.
have good jobs, but why did they Japa? There's that statement people make, "May Nigeria never happen to you." So some people have their good jobs, they can afford anything, but maybe they just had an accident on the road and there was no ambulance. It was bystanders that were making videos. Meanwhile, over there, maybe when you just call 911, the ambulance is there to pick up the people, take them to the hospital, they get emergency treatment. So some people have that mentality that, oh yes, I have the money, but please, I don't want to be a victim to this. Or we've had cases of people in their houses being kidnapped. So you're like, I don't go out, though. I will not enter one chance. But right there in your house, they come to pick you up. It has traumatized a lot of people. I know of a guy, like there was an attack in Apo, was it last year? Where they killed a guy. And they said bandits came from the top of the hills. The guy left, that guy, he stayed in the compound where that thing happened, like where the guy that was killed was living. So he was so traumatized that he said after the incident, the moment they brought soldiers and everything, he left, and the only time he went back to the house was to pick his bag, and he left Abuja like completely. So I feel like that kind of person, even as he has left Abuja, he has lost hope in the country. I feel like if I see an opportunity outside, I will just go. So aside the unemployment, aside the rising cost of things, there are a lot of factors that have made people to just lose hope in the system. Okay, let's talk about politics too. So many Nigerians just feel like, they tell us that we are leaders of tomorrow. Now we are here, and they keep pushing the goalposts. So a lot of things have made Nigerians uninterested, or let's say young Nigerians uninterested in even finding solutions to the problems we have. They feel like if I go outside, everything I'm looking for is there. The system works there. I heard someone say, as a Nigerian, if you travel outside, you'd even become less religious, because most of the things you pray for
I think the basic
yes.
amenities.
So it's
Okay, so I'm just going to
Say
something. You mentioned something that a lot of people pray that let Nigeria not happen to me. But that's wrong. The prayer should be let Nigerians not happen to me. Nigeria is a blessed country.
Exactly.
Yeah, Nigeria is a blessed country. But Nigerians in question are the problem. I can tell you that we have policies where things are supposed to be done. But because Nigerians are Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians are Nigerians, these things do not work.
So what makes Nigeria Nigeria? Like you said, because Nigerians are Nigerians. Why are we Nigerians and we're doing nothing?
Basically, I stand to be corrected. But from what I've seen so far, I can tell you an average Nigerian is greedy. No, I stand to be corrected.
Human nature, we're all selfish.
Yes, I stand to be corrected. But an average Nigerian is greedy. Let's take, for example, let's say something happens in the country. We do not wait to inflate prices. We do not wait to cause harm on people. The thing is, I feel we need more policies and implementation plans to be able to curb certain things that are happening. Because tell me why they just announced that they are going to increase civil servants' salary, and then you go to the market, bag of rice is how much? And then you ask, they've increased salary. How does it affect what you're selling?
Exactly.
Now, let's say fuel, for example. The prices of fuel goes up. Things in the market goes up. Now, when the prices of fuel comes down, people still try to increase the price of things. If there was a regulation, I think, if you can remember very well, during COVID, how much do we buy nose masks prior that time? 100 naira, 50 naira. Now, during COVID, one nose mask was going for at least 500 naira. Why?
Because it's a necessity.
And it shouldn't be so. If you check other countries, they had regulations that could curb these things. But because we are Nigerians, and an average Nigerian is very greedy, they would want to make money off their fellow Nigerians suffering, which is not right.
I'll come back to that where we are talking about government, because that's where the government comes in to regulate. And Joy made mention that 8 out of 10 Nigerians would want to stay back in diaspora. Now let's look at those 2%. Those two were remaining. Do you think they face the same challenges abroad? Because when we're talking about International Youth Day, we're not just focused on we're not the most problematic youth in the whole continent. Let's take a look at other young Nigerians living in diaspora. What challenges, aside security that they've run away from and other things, what really do they face that nobody is talking about out there? Joy, yes.
So I think I've not been abroad before.
Yeah.
I've not Japa yet.
Japa yet.
So mine is mine. If I want to Japa, it's going to be for like study purposes.
That's what people used to. Why not? It's okay.
So people outside, from what I've seen online,
Mhm.
they suffer isolation, depression. It's a different culture out there.
Mhm.
So they are not used to, I feel Nigerians are quite friendly people, but when they are there, everybody's minding their business. So I've seen a couple of videos where I've seen people crying, oh, they are depressed, they don't have family there, they don't know anyone there, they just go to work, come back, and even people at work are not so friendly. So it's
Mhm.
still an everybody mind your business thing. So it's not like the life they are used to. Over there, you could greet somebody and the person is staring at you like, why you
Like, why you
yes, or you're smiling, and or you're just looking at, they're like, why are you staring at me? And I've even heard that someone almost got arrested because they were staring or something, because they were looking. So the culture shock that they face there is quite different. Then I've heard about racism. So most times Nigerians don't get the job they've envisioned. They are always giving the menial job. So
Yeah.
they go out with dreams like, when I get there, I'll work in a big company and all of that. But when they get there, they're made to wipe the butts of those
Yeah.
people out there. So the reality shock is there. The grass is not so green as
On the
they
other
yes,
side.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
it should be. You don't find it easy. If Nigeria is to get better today, we have all basic needs that we every basic amenities. We have security, most
I
importantly.
mean, that's
Right.
basic.
That's basic. We have security. I'm very sure they want to come back
Mm.
because it's more easy to live in Nigeria.
That's
It's very easy.
I mean,
to
it's
live in
your
Nigeria.
own country, so you have that freedom.
Freedom.
And both of you made mention that if you should Japa education, I mean, that's the excuse. But let's look at Nigeria education system.
Mm.
Is Nigeria education system preparing young people for jobs or an opportunity of the future, or we're just producing this? Just keep graduating, just keep moving along, just keep going.
Well, for me, I would say that the Nigeria education system as it is not fully preparing people for the future. And the reason I would say that is this. Initially, the Ministry of Education was ignoring the technical colleges. Yes, they were literally ignoring. A lot of people would not want to go to technical colleges.
Exactly.
You know the way Nigerian youths are, where they wouldn't want to learn skills like tailoring, carpentry, and stuff like this. Meanwhile, nowadays, in this time, in this era, a lot of people are even digitalizing most of these skills. If you go to a university in Nigeria, let's start with the universities first. If you go to a university, it's recently they started adding technical skills in the universities. So prior now, you go to a university in Nigeria, you just be learning theory. It's
Exactly.
very rare you see them do practicals of these things.
That's right.
It's very rare. Let's take architecture for example. I know someone that studied architecture and then studying architecture, they tell me that some schools, some lecturers, because of the way they've been brought up, there's this thing with Nigeria and Africa. We tend to pass down mentality without minding to change it to follow the trend. Now, you go to study architecture. Nowadays, they have computer-aided designs. You could learn to use these things and make money for yourself. But no, you have to start sketching. You have to buy that architectural pen that you will sketch and sketch until your back start paining you. That's Nigerian school for you. I'm going to tell you that the Ministry of Labour, as it stands, has a department, skill certification department. If you go to them, they do training for skills. You get for like 6 months, you pay the registration fee, they provide you all the things you need, like that, and then they issue a certificate. And you can use, the funny part is what people don't know is you can use that certificate anywhere in the world because the federal government issued certificate on a particular skills. These are things that the Ministry of Education should encourage. It's not just theory anymore. We've gone past the stage of theory.
Exactly.
We need to start having practical experiences. And at some point, I would even wish we could have the platform where, okay, for those that want to do theory, if they can encourage more online education, because currently this education system in Nigeria, it's not like the online education is not recognized, but it's not pronounced. So that I can be doing an online program and have the time to do a technical program. And I also got to know that the Ministry of Education, they're now encouraging people to come register for the technical college. They're even saying they'll give them stipends so that it will give as a means of encouragement and motivation so that they can come and register. If we follow the curriculum of Nigerian education system, I don't think it's preparing anybody for the future. Currently, if you go online, you see people doing a lot of online campaigns and tags of, or come, I'll teach you how to be a digital marketer, I'll teach you how to be a virtual assistant and stuff like this. These are things that should be incorporated in the education system.
I still want to go back to what she has said because, yes, I do volunteer a lot, but you will not believe that though I volunteered a lot right from school, I still was not able to meet up with the international standard because there was a whole lot missing.
A lot of skills gap.
Yes, there were skills gap. I volunteered locally and it still did not put me at par with the level of those like from outside the country. So it took me a long while to realize that there were skills I needed to develop. And there was a whole lot I needed to know, like, let's say, for example, project management. When I was volunteering, I did not know anything about that. We would just come, do what we need to do. I didn't know that there were skills I needed to have. So now, what we need to do is that there needs to be like a reorientation of what we need to know as volunteers. And I see a lot of people doing a lot of things now. This reorientation, I know there's VoluServe. There are a lot of people now who are talking about volunteering and how you can do it well. And I know of ISEC too, that you volunteer with them and then you're able to, in fact, now talking about it, I feel very bad because we make mistakes. I remember someone telling me to come and join ISEC that year. I was like, oh no. But then people who were volunteering with ISEC at the same point where I was being invited, they've gone far. Like, most of them are not, like, I see them doing a lot of things globally. So ISEC is one of those organizations that prepares you with the right skills and the knowledge you need as a volunteer to thrive or to be able to meet up with the international standard. So what we need is that reorientation and the right skill sets.
Indeed. I mean, let me point out something. I feel like you both have made a serious point here looking at our education system. And one thing that struck or stood separate for me was Nigerian youth, we are dependent on what we learn in class and all that. And we feel like, oh, this should take me far in life. Yeah. And what we're only able to do with that is job hunt. I mean, I graduated with MSc, this, DSc, that, whatever. So let's talk about security. We said security is a basic need. And you told us a story about the young man that has been traumatized. And if we look at the rise of insecurity in the country, it's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing, because if I should do my statistic, just assuming, I would say 9 out of 10 people have faced something that, put their life at danger or in danger. And that statistic is big. Whether you're a security person, chief judge, I mean, look at the chief judge was kidnapped, a major was kidnapped. So looking at all those things, security is a basic amenity. How does insecurity affect the ability of young Nigerians to study, work, travel, learn skills, volunteer? Because if you're volunteering and you're going to a community, they kidnap you, what will you tell your parents?
Let me start with volunteering, because I'm going to tell you this based on experience. There are times where we travel to states, went to Lagos State, Ogun State, Kaduna, just so that we can be able to make impact in life. And like I said, it's out of passion. We have to travel. Last year we went to Lagos. We went to some communities in Ojo local government. Now, it was so interesting that we had to cross rivers. Not rivers, actually. We had to cross the Lagos Lagoon to get to the community. It was isolated and it was in between the Atlantic Ocean and the Lagos Lagoon, in between. That's the village. So imagine now, this was last year, before the insecurity became even worse.
Yeah.
Now you come and tell me, let us travel like this. I tell you no. For the sake of safety, because in as much as I'm trying to make impact in the life of people, in as much as we're doing our best to see how well people's life can be changed for the better. We still have to protect ourselves.
Like
If
a foreigner.
Nigerians were to be genuine enough or human enough, I'm not saying that Nigerians are not human. No, we have Nigerians that are human, that are genuine. But if, let's say, 70 to 80% of Nigerians can be human enough, then I think most of these problems we have would reduce. Because tell me why you'd want to hurt somebody. Sometimes, in some situations, in some cases, sometimes I stand to be corrected. It's not only the bandits that come to kidnap people. You just use bandits as excuse. In some cases, you see where people would set up their friends just to kidnap them and extort money from the family. And it doesn't make any sense.
And people even kidnapping themselves.
I feel this is a vicious cycle.
Okay.
Because I made a statement earlier. There's so much ambition, and when there's no proper channel, it is channeled into the negative. So this is a circle, because these are unemployed youth. So let's leave the bandits aside. The youths who still kidnap, they are unemployed youths who have decided, okay, this is now going to be my source of income. And
So
so
tomorrow you say it's Nigeria that is happening to you, when it's just one unemployed youth that's
Right. This has shown us the circle. One unemployed Nigerian youth can actually cause a mayhem to Nigeria, thereby making it look like it is Nigeria that is happening to people. Meanwhile, it is
a
a Nigerian that is actually making the mayhem.
There's no country that don't have people that do all these things. Yeah, but we can't eradicate it completely.
Exactly.
But to some extent, we'll be able to curb it. Like make it better to some extent. Because let me be very, we can't eradicate it completely.
I
It's
mean,
not
crime
possible.
cannot be eradicated at 100%.
Completely, yeah.
We'll take a short break right now. We'll be right back with more on the Nigerian youth. And to all Nigerian youth out there, happy International Youth Day. Welcome back from that short break. If you're just joining us, you're welcome. We've been having a wonderful discussion with bold Nigerian women, and we have been talking about the International Youth Day. You know, can the Nigerian youth have a turning point from diverse issues to a place where everyone have their solution at hand? And to Joy, I have Joy and Blessing Simon. Joy, I'm so sorry. I modern name for a living, but Joy Tomo. To Joy, you know, in our early conversation, you made mention of politics, and that's also a challenge in Nigeria. Once politics is being mentioned, everybody's heart is palpitating. We're expecting the worst and all that. What contribution has Nigerian youth played in this? We're looking at youth, and we're looking at how they contribute to this and how they also solve this. Because Blessing here made mention, as she reiterated, that it is not Nigeria that happened to people, it is Nigerians. So how do youth play part in this?
So when we talk about politics, you see a lot of young people sound uninterested. There's apathy among youth, and sometimes youth don't know how to channel their frustration when it comes to politics.
Okay.
You hear virtually everyone saying, it's Tinubu, it's Tinubu, it's Tinubu, it's the president, it's the president. But in real sense, you cannot hold the president responsible for every single thing. You have local governments, chairmans, you have your councillors, you have your state governors. They are to be held responsible for some things. For example, a road is bad. A budget has been there's been funds allocated for that particular thing, and maybe to the council or to someone. All you need to know is just to follow some of this information. That's why we have budgets, we have tracker. These people, they simplify the data for you, so you know how to follow and track the budget. You know who to hold responsible. But so many young people do not know some of these things. So everybody keeps saying, "Is the president? Is the president? Is the president?" But we can actually channel our frustration properly when we know these details. We know our councillors, we know our governors, we know the senator representing us in the House of Reps, and then we are civically involved. Ask some youth now, do you have your PVC? Some of them don't have, but you are shouting the country is, how do you want the country to change? Yes, you are like, oh, my votes will not count. Have you gotten your PVC yet? Just get your PVC first. Let us go out and vote. We'll safeguard the ballots. All of us will stand there and say that I've casted my votes. Let's stand and see the thugs. All of us will go head on and we'll secure our votes. But you don't even have your PVC, and then you're standing out there saying the country is bad. Then you're part of you're part of what is making the country bad. Because if you're not utilizing that power to institute a good leader, then you're part of the problem. So youth need to understand that frustration needs to be channeled properly, and then there are steps that need to be taken so that we can solve this problem.
Just still on you, when we are talking about this safeguarding the PVC and all that, why I'm laughing is because my imagination is going wild. How can you safeguard your PVC when there's a gun? When you hear the sound of a bullet, pa! Do you get?
Yeah.
So that aside, still coming to that, do you think that the youth have succumbed to the other side of participation when I talk about being used as political thugs, where they have to now be, the thugs in the election? I mean, that's participation.
That's true. Participation in a negative way. And this youth needs to understand that, okay, you've been conscripted as a thug. Tomorrow, it might be your own person suffering from the consequences of what you've brought into the system. So this youth, they need to be sensitized on the dangers of thuggery. They need to know that if you're participating, know that your participation should be for good and not for evil. These governments tomorrow, if you don't participate or you do the wrong thing, you will not go to the fuel station and say, oh, I
voted for this
yes,
person.
and then they'll say, okay, let's give it for 1,000 naira while other people are getting. No, it's going to affect everybody. And it might not be me, but okay. So there was this illustration I saw, this AI something I watched on Facebook, and it showed a police officer who was standing at a checkpoint, and he saw it was the truck was conveying bandits. And they're like, police, take, and he compromised. He accepted what they gave him. Now, those bandits went to the school where his daughter was, and they killed everybody. So, in as much as you're like, concern me, I'm doing my own, this is for the urgent 5K, it's my comeback to hurt you or your family.
Exactly.
Or not even your family, your friend, someone you care about. So what we need to understand, or what this youth need to understand, is your participation, good or evil, has impact.
Exactly.
So if you're participating for good, you might say you're not going to see the result, but just give it a shot, give it a try. And once 1,000 youths say, okay, let's participate for good, trust me, it's going to make a difference.
I mean, indeed, 1,000 can make a difference. It start with one,
Yes.
and then move to the million youth we have in Nigeria. But to you, Blessing, beyond demanding change, beyond demanding for actions from government, we see if it's to come online and say this, tag that, we're very good, but coming out to vote is another problem. What responsibility do young Nigerians have in changing their circumstances and communities? Now, we're not saying this is what the government should do for them. You, as a Nigerian, what do you think they should do?
Okay, so for me, I would say you have to be the change you want.
Changing what way? I mean, I can just change my character.
Okay, no, not change your character. Okay, let me give an instance. Prior 2023 election, there was a lot of campaigns and all that. I can remember volunteering for an organization where we went around to sensitize people on why they have to come out to vote. We were not going to tell anybody, vote this person or vote that person, vote A or B. We were telling them the implications of not voting, why you need to vote. And a lot of reactions were, our vote not count, our vote not count. And we were like, have you voted for your vote to not be counted? You have to vote first to see if it would count or not. Then after that, we will now work together and know what to do next. But first of all, you have to vote. Now the thing is, for Nigerian youths, I think we need to do more sensitization.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do more sensitization, and the sensitization is not just let's go to one place in Abuja and do. The sensitization should go down to the grassroots level, where you have youths that do not have access to information, access to internet. There are a lot of places like that. There are some villages I've been to in this Abuja, and then I'm like, wow, in Abuja.
Even
There
access
was
to
one
light.
in Gwagwalada we had to cross river to get to. Like we had to put our trousers, cross river just to get to the place. So there are communities like this. I feel every youth in whichever state you're located should try to sensitize people down to the grassroots level. I know there are some organizations that have been trying to do such, but it won't be enough. If we don't do it personally, we have to keep them informed. Let people know the implications of vote buying, the implications of vote selling. Know that it's going to affect you. You're not getting any special treatment if you don't vote. We have to know and sensitize them to do it right.
Exactly.
They have to do it right. Like the ones that are thugs that will come out and do, we have to make them see the implications. For example, you come out, you go and carry a gun. What if somebody else shoots you and you die in the process of trying to be a political thug for somebody else whose children may not even be in the country? Why are you making yourself to be used? When, okay, if it's that good, why don't they call their children to come back from wherever they are to come and be the political thug? Because they know the implications of what they are doing. So why make yourself a tool when you know you won't even get any better? You as well will follow all of us to buy fuel at the same price. When the gas goes up, we are all buying it the same price. I like the way Nigeria is. It's meeting everybody. Everybody's getting their own fair share of it. So the only thing I would say is that we need to put in more effort into sensitization and to the grassroots level. You know, most times where they do all these votes buying and conviction is in that areas where they are not knowledgeable about these things. They're not knowledgeable about it. The information is not there. Nobody has come to give them critical information about these things. I think I saw a video of one content creator in the East. He was going from house to house in the village. He went to the village. From house to house, he will knock. As at the time they were still registering for voters card, he will knock. Go and get your voter's card. He would explain it to them. He asked them, do you need transport? Take transport. I will come back and check if you've done your voter's card. That is what we should be doing as youths.
Exactly.
If we want Nigeria to be better, I'll tell you, Nigeria can be better. Nigeria will be better. But if we want Nigeria to be better, we have to make the efforts. It's not just to sit, you see Nigerians there, it's not just to sit down, carry your phone and start tweeting. This one, that one.
You know how to do that very well.
It's not everybody that sees this thing. I know that a bulk of Nigerians are online on the internet, but the major audience these politicians target are those ones that don't have access to these information. They will go to the villages and promise them, don't worry, we'll build hospital for you. That village we went to in Gwagwalada, after promising, they built the hospital, but there was nothing inside. We went there, all the drugs were expired. They have to cross river to get medical attention.
So coming to that, sensitization is really important.
Very important.
But sensitization against hunger and poverty, is it possible? Joy.
It's possible with empowerment.
Who empowers them?
Everybody, the government, CSOs, religious institutions, we can work together. Now, the problem Nigeria has is only the government cannot solve it. It requires all hands to be on deck.
Exactly.
And that's why we have NGOs, we have civil societies. So we need to come together and work. And that is one thing, in my current role, when we are planning a project, we don't just go and talk. We try to put in, and empower them, because you're going to go and tell this person, oh, don't steal. So what alternative are you giving the person to stop the person from stealing? Or you're saying, oh, don't travel outside, or don't do illegal immigration if a trafficker comes. Funny enough, this thing about trafficking, some people even want to go, like they know that
they don't mind.
Yes, they are going through the desert. So if you're going to go and tell this person, I don't go through the desert now, what are you giving the person as an alternative?
Option.
So the the answer is empowerment. Yes, it's empowerment.
So sensitization
like
is
I said
empowerment.
earlier, like I said earlier, if most of these people that are doing all these things are being engaged, whether making them have white collar jobs or blue collar jobs, however it's
Or even the green collar job.
yes, they get busy and wouldn't even have time to be able to want to stay and be dragging election ballot
Exactly.
box with people
Exactly.
because they would look forward to, oh, I can't stay and be doing this. I have to do my work. I have to earn money. There's something that is bringing in money to the family. But in a situation where there is nothing, every urgent 2K makes them to do whatever it is you want them to do. So in as much as we have to sensitize, we also have to empower them as well.
Indeed. You know, down to the government now. A lot of us will say the first person we point when things are going bad, the government. And early in the conversation, we made mention of working institutions, reforms, policies, and all that, and which is like the government. That's where the government comes in. And what should the government do differently when it comes to policies, when it comes to regulation, when it comes to institution? One thing is that I would not lie. In Nigeria, we have good policies. We have established institutions. But really, what can the government do well or do right? Because it's not just doing well, is it right? So what can the government do right to make sure that we have working institutions and basic amenities are out there for the people?
Okay, so I'll tell you that one of the problems of the government is implementation. Yes, we have a lot of good policies in Nigeria. We have policies that you don't even realize are there. We have good policies covering a lot of sectors. First of all, there is no publicity of these policies, so people do not have awareness that these things exist. Some persons do not even have awareness that if a police is harassing you, you can sue them in the high court. People don't know.
So people actually might know, but it's like, do you really have the time?
It actually works.
That's
it does. It does. It actually works. A lot of people don't know these things. They will just make videos and come and post online when you can follow a proper way to handle these things. There are a lot of policies we have in Nigeria, but publicity is a major problem, and implementation. Sometimes the implementation plans you have may not be visible with the current trends and the current realities. So implementation is always a problem. There are some things you hear them say, Vision 2030, implementation of this, that, by 2030. By 2030, we would realize that we've not done a lot of things because the implementation has not gone in line with the current trends. Okay, imagine we want to do an implementation for a particular skills acquisition. I can tell you, like I said, information is a problem in Nigeria. We have over 23 skills centers in Nigeria.
Working centers or just centers
in Nigeria. But a lot of people don't know. We need more publicity. Now, if by 2030 they say, okay, the government will say, okay, we've built these skill centers, we've done this, we've done that, and then at the end of the day, you see that you haven't achieved so much because you just did this thing and then the public is not even aware. It's a very funny thing because in Nigeria we have policies. Talk about policies. We have policies, but there's no publicity, and the implementation plans needs to be looked into. That's the only way that the government can play their own role effectively. For example, there are agencies like I mentioned earlier, NITSTA, they have online courses for free. ITF, they also do. There's this new program they did for this current administration. It's 3 MMTs, like 3 million technical stuff like that. Yeah, it's there. A lot of people don't know about it. There are a lot. NDE has a lot of platforms where they can train people. Ministry of Labour, under skills department, they have a lot of things they can do to train people. A lot. Ministry of Labour are the ones that even have the skills acquisition centers. Ministry of Trade and Investment, I think they also have some platforms where they can also train people. But the thing is, it's not public enough. Youths are there looking for, I want to go and learn these skills, but I don't have money. There are platforms where they can learn these things, but you have to make them know these platforms. I think government should also do well in terms of publicity. Government should also do well in
This
terms
is
of
to show that,
publicity.
because I was to ask, is the government really in our favor, looking at the young people? And if all these initiatives and reforms and policies are being put in place, including skill acquisitions here and there, that means the government have the young people in mind. And to you, Joy, if the government have the people in mind and all these are accessible, just to add to it, how do you think young people should access this? If at all they should access, how do they access it? And how do they work in line with the government to achieve this whole vision, 2030, the young people, leaders of tomorrow and all that?
So on the part of the government, like she said, implementation, and this implementation can be done in a lot of ways. Imagine if some of these things are incorporated from secondary schools. You enforce it and say, from primary 6, you have the opportunity to dive into this or to delve into this. It will make it a lot more easier, and the information will be there, because let's say the memo goes out to all the schools and say, this is now what is obtainable going forward. The information is there. Then at this point, if they're not working with the schools, they can also work with non-governmental organizations or civil societies to still push it out. Even religious communities, they are community leaders. If you go to a community, yes, these are stakeholders. If you want to have a successful intervention, you have to partner with the stakeholders, which are the community leaders. So these people are also there. You can pass the information through them. You can even have a meeting with the youth and with the community leaders. So all of these things are dimensions through which this information can be passed. And then another thing I want to add, this is not about implementation now. This is for interventions that the government might want to do for the youth. There are also more ways to go about it to ensure that it is working. Now, when they want to do or carry out interventions, they have to ensure that they work with data-informed planning. You cannot just create an intervention and say, this is for the young people. Now we have, let's say, 18, it's youth. Yes, we have youth from 18 years old. We have people who are already 30 years old. And all these people are at different points in their life where different interventions work for them.
Exactly.
Okay, let's take for example someone who is 18, maybe that just graduated from secondary school, might require all of these skills that we've talked about. Then let's say people who are 30, let's say they need reskilling, or they need upskilling, or they need financial interventions for their businesses or something. So you cannot just say this intervention is a one size fits all. You have to meet them at the different levels that they are. So that's it.
Speaking of one size fits all, one Nigeria, different needs, just as she has pointed out. Can Nigeria develop youth policies, reforms, initiative, intervention that recognizes different realities rather than just one? And looking at our budget, looking at Nigeria, looking at what we have. It's one thing to say, oh, Nigeria can do this, do that, but what we have right now, can Nigeria fit all?
I think there should be like the call to action for the Ministry of Youth. It is their jurisdiction to handle such matters. So this is a call to action for them to be able to have policies for the youth that would fit each jurisdiction and the trend. Because sometimes, okay, you can do a policy to fit this jurisdiction, but is it in the trend of the reality now? So whatever policy they are going to do should fit the jurisdiction and the trends of reality.
Indeed.
I'd like to add.
Okay, just quickly.
Okay, so you don't just make decisions for the youth without the youth being involved.
Exactly.
What are you bringing to the table?
In terms of policy creation, they bring leaders of such organizations as stakeholders. So they don't just create a policy, just the ministry. They'd have to get involved stakeholders, CSO, NGOs and stuff like that. So they don't just create a policy like that.
Yes, true. So, but then if you were to ask for my suggestion, bring youth from different geopolitical zones and from different levels so that they are well represented. They are the ones that will tell you their pain points. So it will help inform whatever policies and decisions you're putting up in place.
Indeed. At this junction, I think we have to call it off here. Thank you so much, Blessing and Joy, for joining me here on 360 Youth Dialogue, and happy International Youth Day. Thank you. To our wonderful guests, to our wonderful audience, rather, happy International Youth Day. And one core remarkable message here is, for every youth there is hope. For every Nigerian there is hope. We are the ones who make Nigeria Nigeria. And to that, it's a goodbye from me, Juliet Omura, on 360 Youth Dialogue.